Now, y'all didn't really think that Ben Simmons was just going to average 5 points a game for the rest of his career, did you? I mean, come on. Following an injury-riddled past few seasons, the former number one pick is set to return to form in the upcoming 2024-2025 season. Simmons is out for blood, and he is ready to prove all of his haters wrong. I mean, after all, he only played 15 games last year for the Nets, dealing with various injuries and other matters. Now, all signs are pointing toward him coming back full strength. And I know it's hard to remember, but in Ben's heyday, he was an all-star, all-NBA selection, Defensive Player of the Year runner-up. And you may hear all this and say,
Ben is washed up. He's mentally weak. He doesn't love basketball.
Well, behold, dear YouTube viewer, by the end of this video, I will convince you why Ben Simmons is going to regain his place as one of the best players in the NBA. Welcome everybody, my name is Troy and this is the Half Court Report. Be sure you click that thumbs up button and subscribe for some of the best NBA content that you're going to find on YouTube. On the heels of several injury-plagued seasons, Brooklyn Nets guard Ben Simmons has become the forgotten man. But through it all, he is seemingly optimistic about his chances of being able to bounce back for this upcoming season. He recently posted a photo of himself on his Instagram, or the gram, as the young whippersnappers call it these days. And in this post, you will see a completely unposed photo of Ben Simmons walking with either a Louis Vuitton or Jansport backpack. I'm not exactly sure. But what is really important is the quote in the photo. It hits different when you bet on yourself and it pays off. Now let's just ignore that this might not be the most self-aware proclamation from Mr. Simmons, but it is important to realize that it would seem Ben does realize this is his last chance to salvage his career. And guys, what a sad career it has become. In his 15 games in this most recent season, he averaged a career low 6.1 points, 5.7 assists, and 0.8 steals to go along with nearly 8 rebounds. So at least he can still board. But this can mainly be blamed on a nerve impingement in his back that required a microscopic partial discectomy to correct it. Now, I got my medical degree from the University of Phoenix, so I don't understand all of the major lingo, but sounds pretty serious to me. Because injury issues have been the story of Ben Simmons' career from the start. He missed his entire rookie year with the Sixers, if you recall. And it seems for the past few years, he just cannot shake that injury bug. But remember, before he got injured, Simmons won the NBA Rookie of the Year award. He was a 3-time All-Star. He was selected to the NBA All-Defense First Team twice and had a second-place finish in the NBA Defensive Player of the Year voting. As good as Simmons was from a defensive and playmaking standpoint, he became something of a scapegoat for Philadelphia when his playoff shortcomings really became the big story. After averaging only 11.9 points per game and shooting just 34% from the free throw line during the 2021 playoffs, Simmons held out the next year and was eventually traded to the Nets as part of that massive James Harden deal. And it doesn't help that Simmons has long been something of a one-dimensional player since he can't shoot from distance, as evidenced by his career three-point shooting percentage of just 13.9%. Yikes. Simmons did enough of the other things well to have success in Philly early in his career, but it hasn't translated to Brooklyn, and I think the NBA game has changed enough to where it's kind of leaving Ben behind. So with him slated to make over $40 million this upcoming season, Simmons would do a lot of good for himself if he played in most of the games and played well, as there could be money at stake for him whether he's in Brooklyn next season or not. Nets GM Sean Marks said, "I know he wants to get out there, and this is a big year. It's a big year because he's part of the franchise for sure, but it's a huge year for Ben. He's young enough that he can get back to his old self." And for what it's worth, his teammates are in agreement. Cam Johnson said, "We got a healthy Ben back, and with the stuff we were able to do with him in the lineup last year, I think there's a lot of potential." Even Ben's agent says that he sees this season as an opportunity and his first chance to be truly healthy in Brooklyn. And if you can't trust a guy's agent, who can you trust? The best case for Ben this year, though, has to be him getting back to that Philadelphia form. That involves him running the floor both to initiate fast breaks and slow down the fast breaks of his opponents. That would also include attacking the rim and one or two of those highlight passes a night that he was known for. If Simmons returns to the form he displayed in the 2019-2020 season when he was All-NBA, All-Defense, and the NBA steals leader, not to mention an All-Star, he will silence his critics, I think, for good. That's the last season in which he was not troubled by back pain. That would translate to something like a 16-8-8 season. And guys, I just really want to see Ben enjoying the game again, playing hard. A Simmons poke-away steal, transition dunk, and then flashing a grin as he jogs back on defense would be like a breath of fresh air. The best-case scenario for Ben Simmons in the upcoming season is that he's a productive player who helps the Brooklyn Nets win basketball games that they would otherwise lose without him. And that starts with making it through a regular season without the nagging injuries that have taken a toll both on his body and his mind dating back to those Philadelphia days. Simmons can't afford to spend half the season returning to action after days and weeks off. These injuries happen to every NBA player, but for Ben, he needs to establish a rhythm early in the season where he's playing high-leverage minutes every night. Not only does Simmons utilize contact to get to the rim, but he finishes high up on the glass, resembling that special 6'10 athlete we all marveled at early in his career. So if Simmons reaches his best-case scenario, he's going to stuff the stat sheet and utilize the threat of interior scoring to then make high-level passes, all while playing hounding defense. That only happens if Simmons is able to exert his body to the fullest, unencumbered by worries of injury or going to the free throw line. Don't forget, the Nets were a respectable 7-8 with Simmons last season. So it's not crazy to think that if he's healthy and if this team is able to gel early, then they could actually make a run for the playoffs. That's what I think. I'm sure I'm going to have a lot of folks disagreeing with me in the comments, but that's okay. Let me hear what you think. Since you've watched this far, make sure you drop a like for the YouTube algorithm and hit that subscribe button too so you never miss another NBA video from me. You know who else is getting a lot of hate? Caitlin Clark. Now guys, I actually did a WNBA video because I don't know about you, but it's pretty interesting how Caitlin Clark is just completely taking over this league. And because of her, the NBA is making so much money. So I did a video getting to the bottom of this whole Caitlin Clark insanity. Check that out. Let me know what you think, and I will catch you next time on the Half Court Report.